In a shocking twist, the shooter who attempted the second assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump has been exposed as a pro-Ukrainian, well, crazy person. We're going to talk about just what his links are to Ukraine and just why even the Ukrainian Foreign Legion said this dude needs to go home. I'm Paul, U.S. Army combat veteran. Let's talk about this pretty crazy development. Okay, so we have a new photograph of the suspected would-be Trump assassin. This is yesterday. A man fired several shots near or toward the president at the Mar-a-Lago golf course while the president was there, supposedly coming within 300 to 500 yards of former President Trump. Right before he was spotted by Secret Service, which again, 300 yards is the range that you can that a standard U.S. service member, at least in the United States Army, is expected to be able to engage a target with iron sights. Admittedly from the prone position, but it is still an uncomfortably close call, a second uncomfortably close call for the president. But the man who allegedly conducted this attempt, his name Ryan Wesley Ruth. And as you can see, he's a 58-year-old man who has a lot of links to Ukraine. Now, interesting. Okay, so the Palm Beach County Sheriff said the assassination attempt on Sunday was nothing like what happened yesterday. In fact, they said he did not get off any rounds because the Secret Service acted so quickly. They say at the end of the day, the system worked. This is not like what happened at Butler. So this was a man who really appeared to have very little professional background. He's a 58-year-old former construction worker where he had an AK-47 assault rifle, got within 300 to 500 yards of the president, was spotted by members of the Secret Service team. The detail actually opened fire at Ruth. He didn't fire any shots and escaped in a black Nissan and was arrested 50 miles away, right? But here's what's interesting is that this individual had attempted, after the Ukrainian war started, he attempted to actually enlist in the Ukrainian Foreign Legion. Right? One Ukrainian military source that said they said shortly after war began, the country was in chaos and it was easy for people to make false claims that they were acting in an official capacity, which alludes to the fact that he may have arrived and pretended to be a U.S. official or represent some kind of Ukrainian Foreign Legion group. The source said Ruth probably had good intentions, but he caused even the Ukrainian Foreign Legion security problems by posting details on his personal website of foreigners who had enlisted. And then he was trying to get involved in internal matters, saying, oh, the guys in this unit or that unit are not happy. And I said, listen, they have a chain of command. There's a way to report these things. The source continues, I don't think he was ever completely stable. And then I think he went off the deep end and had some difficulties and left, right? Of course, the Ukrainian Foreign Legion adding, they are obviously not condoning this guy's attempted assassination of the president. Another aid worker who came across him in Ukraine said that the individual developed an unhealthy interest in the country. He was known locally as a recruitment cheerleader, but who had no rights or powers to recruit for Ukraine's Foreign Legion. Again, this is somebody who literally was so unwell, the Legion was like, listen, no, dude, you cannot represent us in any capacity. Somebody else is just, I wouldn't call him crazy. He was just hyper-focused, which is could be a symptom of mania. He was trying his best, but it was getting to an unhealthy level. In fact, he's famous. He was previously achieved some level of notoriety for attempting to get Afghan soldiers who were being overrun by the Taliban into Ukraine. But he had no experience in the Ukrainian or Afghan legal system, and so most people treated him as an absolutely insane person. Right? He lived for a time in Hawaii, right? Where he was accused of being a squatter at a property. It just seems like, again, a mentally ill man who developed unhealthy fixations on a lot of things, but seemed to have really become fixated on Ukraine. Interestingly enough, he was interviewed by a New York Times journalist. Sort of troubling, honestly, that this troubles me more for the New York Times that they were unable to discern the fact that he was not only rejected by, but kept it at more than arm's length by the Ukrainian Foreign Legion, and yet they interviewed him as some kind of authority, right? The journalist says that by the time he got off the phone to Mr. Ruth some minutes later, it was clear he's in over his head. He talked about buying off corrupt officials to get Afghans out, forging passports en masse, doing whatever it took to get his Afghan military cadre to Ukraine, but he had no actual means to accomplish his goals. At one point, he talked about arranging U.S. military transport flight from Iraq to Poland with Afghan refugees willing to fight. It was preposterous, right? Of course, he hated Trump. His own son said he said, quote, "My dad, he's my dad and all, and all he's had is a couple traffic tickets as far as I know." He said, "That's crazy. I know my dad. I love my dad. That's nothing like him. I've never known him to own a gun or known him to do anything batshit crazy like this. If my father wants to be a martyr to how broken and dissociated the process has become from the real problems and practical solutions, then that's his choice. I'm not saying that's what he's done or what he's about. That's just my own rant, being fed up with it for my entire adult life." In fact, the International Legion actually said that the country found him so bizarre that they actually considered banning him from the country. Again, you have to understand, this is a country in absolute desperate need of personnel. And this person was so crazy and so unhinged that the Ukrainian military was like, we need to ban this person from the country. He said, "I never met him in person, but I was in contact with him multiple times to request to him that he stop his activities, most of which were bizarre and alarming. He was trying to recruit soldiers from Afghanistan, Iraq, and Syria, and trying to arrange their travel here, despite us saying no multiple times." So this is a unhinged man who, again, developed, it sounds like, a real fixation on really the Ukrainian Foreign Legion and recruiting Afghans into it. And obviously everyone around him recognized it was unhinged. And it sounds like he just continued to spiral downward. Again, a classic sort of example of a copycat shooter, someone whose mind doesn't work that well, and becomes fixated on it because he sees it on the TV and sees a lot of coverage and thinks he can do it himself. Again, guys, if you want to support the channel, you can do so over on combatvetnews.com. That's where you can help support me as one of the people communicating like actual facts about this conflict. Links in the description. I'm not hyping it that much because, again, this is a pretty serious topic, and I don't want to promote anything on this video. Anyway, huge thank you to our Colonel tier members, though: Bill Collier, Robin Colburn, Gaius Marning, Eugenia Cuesta, Chris Gorsuch, Franzicarius, Ale90, Petcha Tororu, as well as all our Lieutenant tier members. I'm going to keep you guys informed as this situation develops, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.